Hey crafty friends, this is Nye with All Things Were Created. Today we are going to assemble our layered school teacher pencil paper craft. As you can see, I have all of my pieces. They are cut out and they are lined up in the order that I want for gluing. I am also going to be using here my foam dot. I'm only going to add one. And I'm going to add it right here to the back of my apple here, so that way it just has a little bit of a dimension. And then I'll be using my art glitter glue for all of my gluing for the rest of the project. So let's just get started right away. I'm going to focus here a little bit on my apple first because that's my smaller piece. I already went ahead before I started the video and I glued down the two eye pieces just to make sure that I didn't lose them here on my table as I was gluing. So what I'm going to do is I'm holding the eyeglass in mouth. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here to the back of the eyeglasses and then a little bit here on the rim of the mouth. And then I'm just going to place it down on the top layer here of my apple, kind of on an angle to show like his eyes are kind of looking off there to the side. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Let me place this down. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add a little dot. And then I'm going to use my push pin. Whoops. I'm going to use my push pin here and just kind of place the eye right there in the center. Let me flip this one over and get my push pin here between my fingers just right. And there. I'm just going to place it there. Now, if you're using the art glitter glue like I am, you're not going to have to worry if you have any glue seeping through, because that glue is going to dry clear. And so I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back here of my apple. And then I'm going to hold it between my fingers, and I'm going to use my fingers to get it lined up right on top of that green layer. And that's it. So I'm going to put my apple off to the side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue the rest of it. And I'm going to flip it over like this. So I did create a back layer for it, just kind of as the final background. But if you didn't want to have this second black layer, you didn't have to. Your pink layer could be the back for you. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just add glue to all of these layers. And I'm going to hold them between my fingers, get a little bit here in the center, hold it between my fingers, and I'm going to use my fingers as my guide to line everything up in that position, in the correct position. And so something else, a little tip, when you go and you place it on, you have about 5 seconds to move things around if you need to before that glue dries completely and then you're stuck. Or you'd have to recut it, which we don't want because then that's a waste of cardstock. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this for all of the remaining layers. When I'm adding my glue, I just want to make sure that I'm being careful and that I'm adding it to, especially the parts where it's really cut, that I'm just taking my time and adding it everywhere. And so again, and then I'm going to, again, just use my fingers to help me to get it in that right position and then pressing it all down. And remember, any glue that's seeping through, you don't have to worry about if you're using the art glitter glue. If you're using the art glitter glue. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to speed up the video here for this gluing part, and I'll slow things back down when I get towards the end. Okay, so as you can see now, this yellow layer and this black layer, they're going to be the most difficult here. And even as I'm holding this and I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to do this. And I think what I might do, this one I glued it all the way, I added the glue first before I pressed it down. But for the black layer here, I think I'm actually going to go in sections, only because there's so much of it that's cut out here. And I don't want to take the chance of it not being perfectly aligned. And so, and also with this one too, what you have to do is you're actually going to need to really kind of go around and add the glue almost everywhere. Because what we don't want to have happen is when we place it down, if we haven't glued a spot, we don't want to have the paper rip at all if it should get snagged on something. And so I'm kind of just going ahead here, and I'm really taking my time as I'm adding the glue to all of the different areas of the black here. And I don't think I realized it when I was designing it, but this black outline layer is kind of really important. I might have just left it as the ruler if I'd really thought it through in designing it. Let me add a little bit more here to the apple. And I'm going to kind of come around on this side here, because this is going to be a little tricky because, hold on, I have to think about it a little bit more as I'm placing it down, because I want to make sure that it's all completely in the right spot there. Okay. All right. So I got those two. And now for this last one, what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to flip it here, let this part drop down, and now I'm going to go and add the glue here. And so I really thought this was a fun craft. It was in my mind to design it for a while, and then somebody had made a request for a teacher file. And so I decided now was the time to get this one done. And it's really just in time for Teacher Appreciation Week, or if you wanted to make it for back to school, you could. There's lots of options for this craft here. Okay, so look, I bent it here. Uh-oh. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to gently press it down, making sure, remember that you've got that 5 seconds to move it around if you need to, just to get everything lined up and in the right spot. And so there we go. Okay. Whew. I was a little nervous about that black layer. All right. And so now for the apple, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to add a foam dot here to the back. I'm going to add 2, I think. One towards the top there or the side, and then another one towards the bottom. You could definitely get away with 1 by just placing it there in the center, but I'm going to add 2. And it's just going to add a little bit of dimension to the project. And so I'm going to place it right there. Maybe I should have done 4. I don't know. I'll go ahead and add another one. Let me take this backing off first. And I'm just going to place it right there. And I'm going to do the same thing, add another one to the top part here. Okay, so this last part here, I'm actually going to stop my video here and leave it like this, because what I want you guys to see is I want you guys to be able to see that you have the opportunity here to personalize it somehow. And you can see I cut out the names of one of my kids, their teacher, and I'm going to add it here to the ruler. And I'm also going to be using my foam dots to add it, just to kind of give it that 3-dimensional effect again. And so what you do want to do is, let me place it down so you guys can see what it would look like. What you do want to do is kind of go ahead and also use foam dots for this one as well, just because it'll give another 3D pop to it. So Now you can kind of see what it's going to look like. You do want to also make sure that whatever font you're using, choose like a fun, bulky font like what I have here. I can't remember which one I cut, but I'll put it in the blog post for you. But you want to choose like a fun, bulky font, or you could use a script, or if you didn't want to write it with a name, you could choose like best teacher ever or just some kind of fun teacher quote. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave mine here like this without gluing it on yet so I can take my pictures for you guys. But I also want you to know that you can personalize it. Okay. So thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and happy crafting.